Welcome to the story of the African Leadership Group. Like all good fairy tales, our story begins in Nigeria, where a young Fred Swaniker is working on a project to research oil and stumbles across an amazing realization that Nigerian parents have had about the university system in the United States of America. In order for their children to gain easy, early access into Ivy League universities, they enroll their children at high schools in America, where they additionally become bonded with their peers and enter university not as foreign students, but as regular students. These parents are willing to spend up to $60,000 a year to educate their kids. The real cost, unfortunately, is the loss to Africa of these future leaders. So Fred has this idea. What if we were to keep these leaders on the continent and still get them into the same prestigious universities? Fred shares this idea with Achaleke and Peter Mumba, who he's working with that evening, and together they write a one-page plan that will eventually lead to the high school African Leadership Academy. Fred returns to Stanford and writes out this business plan and graduates top of his class, where he meets the student who is top of his class in his year below him, Christopher Bradford. They immediately form a bond. Chris has come from a great realization as well about diverse communities when he was teaching economics at Winchester College, United Kingdom. There he finds two Zimbabwean students in his class on British economics. Chris finds it so extraordinary that these Zimbabweans are learning about British economics and not African economics. So he organized an excursion to return to Africa, where they're going to build wells, which will expose them to African economics. But the two Zimbabweans do not sign up. They say to him, "We already understand African economics. We've come to learn the British system. We don't want to dig a well." With this vast African school of all these different nationalities coming together, Chris realizes there has to be a common set of behaviors in order for them to somehow get along. These behaviors are our values, and it's our ways of working and our behaving that have informed our actions throughout the African Leadership Group. Acha, Fred, Chris, Peter all return and they work on a project for a short leadership and service camp in Cape Town called GMIX. Fred believes in the project and he leaves McKinsey and takes on $124,000 in debt. The team works out of their, inverted commas, office, which is really where they were ever to stay with friends on people's couches. Learning how startups work, they divided at this point the organization into two pieces. The African Leadership Foundation, a for-profit organization focused on fundraising, and the non-profit African Leadership Academy, soon to be referred to as ALA. In 2005, we launched our first ever bold public initiative to raise funds in the center of Sandton in Johannesburg. It's called the Buy a Brick campaign, where we actually had real bricks for sale for $1,000 each. Buy this brick and it'll build a school. Can you guess how many bricks we sold on that day? None. Yes, people don't trust a bunch of young people in the middle of Sandton carrying around actual bricks with nothing more than a dream. But we did learn a valuable lesson about the power of young ideas and of youth and how to fail forward, get up, dash yourself up, have the resilience to try again. Indeed, it's never failure, it's just learning. And we learned how to sell those actual bricks, and in the end, they sold for thousands. The center brick went for $16,000 alone. In June 2005, we launched the actual summer program in Cape Town, and it was a success. It was a prototype for all the courses that we would offer forever. A combination of learning, doing service, making your dent in the universe, a positive dent, having fun, having an adventure, and putting people together who might not absolutely have met beforehand, but now form a community. In November 2005, we received our first major donation from Maima Bella Osagi. The value was not in the amount she gave us, but it was in her name. And when we approached our next donors, we were able to say that we had received an actual donation from Maima Bella Osagi. How much she give you, they would say to us. I'll give you double. Now we should meet Julia Unger. our first paid employee. We learned something amazing from Julia, who worked for us for almost no salary in a tiny cupboard of an office that was so small you could touch both walls if you put your arms out. Julia had the potential to work in a very high-paying job, but she decided to work for us because of our mission. She connected with us on our common goal. Our mission became clear. From then on, it became the central focus of our organization. However, like all good fairy stories, every silver lining must have a cloud. And in March 2006, we had run out of money, energy, and friends. We could no longer impose upon anybody. So we held our famous shutdown meeting. We bought a bottle of red wine and we sat down to either toast in despair or in celebration. The proposal to return to our corporate jobs was put on the table. We would build our network, take a few years raising capital, and then return to reignite the whole idea. But that night we could not drink the wine because we just could not shut down the dream. There was something inside us, something we knew that we had to keep going. We just had to find the energy. And indeed, 1 month later, the motivation for that energy came when we were given our first big award. Not only did this come with money, but it also came with recognition. Indeed, it led to, in the next month, a major donation from Margie Thorne of $100,000, the largest donation we had ever received. And that led to another connection with Carla Fiorina, who used her network to help us. We learned the power of knowing who you knew could give you access to who they knew. She would not only get us access, she would also give us a meal and invite us to lunch at the end of a lunch she was having with somebody, and then say, "Sit down, Fred, you must meet so-and-so." And Fred, whilst eating, getting a meal, would then tell the big idea to this person. In January 2007, we found our first campus in Johannesburg, South Africa. We didn't even have enough money to pay the rent for more than month to month. But it did lead us to have the credentials to apply for a major loan. We applied for a $1 million loan. When it comes to scale, you need capital. This led to more extraordinary supporters. And the most extraordinary at this point was Her Excellency former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President of Liberia, who so believed in us that she handpicked the 2 students who would come to the high school. Can you imagine saying to people, the president of Liberia believes in our high school so much, she knows her future leaders need to come from this school. In June 2008, it all went crazy before we opened the school. Visas, flights, buses, uniform, books, logistics. Oh, this is where our do hard things motto came. Indeed, the only way to justify our privilege is to do hard things. But when your mission is bigger than yourself, doing hard things is easy and worth it. In July 2008, we orientated our first faculty, and then in 2008, August, we welcomed the first students, who we graduated 2 years later. And after graduation, we realized it's not just about the academic course. We had formed a community, a group who had a common mission, a common way of behaving. So we had our first reunion and realized the power of community. We repeatedly met with the statement from parents, donors, and supporters that, "Oh, I wish ALA had been around when I went to high school." And so in 2010, we started the African Leadership Network for adults, a space for top achieving people, CEOs, presidents, and similar, where they could meet, connect, and work together. It was unlike anything that existed on the continent before, and it flourished. In 2015, realizing that our way of learning was so great for the African mindset, and that it were not meeting this mindset when they went to universities around the world, we realized we needed to open our own campus, which we did in Mauritius. We started to write our own academic courses with such success that we opened a second campus in 2017 in Kigali, Rwanda. When we opened the university, we kept the same mission, was developing and supporting Africa's future leaders. But we decided that with this different community, we just needed a slightly different set of values. Our values have to be dynamic. so they can remain authentic to each community as it grows. And in 2019, when we realized that we need to accelerate our mission even more to have the impact that we dreamt for this continent, we opened ALX, the X representing the limitless potential for expansion and multiplying effect of our idea. We kept our mission, we chose a new set of values. We realized that all these separate pieces of the AL group had no way of communicating actively and easily with each other. And so we formed a space where they could connect with each other and thus all work together on our mission. And that's why we opened The Room in 2019, where these like-minded people who wanted to do more, who wanted to make this positive dent in the universe, who needed to find a community to work together, could meet. In 2021, we expanded to remote and digital work and thus opened globally on every continent. And 2022, we were able to offer our learning opportunity to participants in every country of Africa through the use of technology. Never forgetting the power and impact of actually being in the room with someone, we opened hubs in several cities across Africa and started an excellent new focus to use our community to help each other find jobs with dignity. A community of hundreds of thousands, all working together, all helping each other, and therefore helping themselves, changing the narrative of our amazing continent, Africa. And it continues with you.